Welcome to another episode on the EaglePod. We are thrilled to have Elio Zhilla with us today. Elio is an incoming first-year law student at Nova Southeastern University's Shepard Broad College of Law. He holds a bachelor's degree with honors in political science and government, with a minor in philosophy from Wayne State University. Recently, Elio completed a master's of business administration from Nova Southeastern University. He's guided by a strong commitment to upholding the principles of justice, ethics, and the rule of law. Elio is dedicated to making a significant impact in the legal field. To start off, can you kind of just tell me a little bit about your background and what brought you here to the States?
So I was born and raised in Albania. I moved here in 2020. It was my last year of high school, so senior year for the US. And we had, I don't know exactly what they're called, but like family relations where you can move with a visa here. My uncle was in Michigan and my aunt was in New York. So eventually we moved to Michigan. It was a little bit of a hard time because that was the same year that COVID happened. So I would see my friends back home and I would see my friends back home. They, of course, had their time with COVID. It was a bit different here in the US because I had nobody to stay with. My parents eventually went back to Albania because of their businesses that they had to attend. But a little bit of background about me. I was born and raised in Albania, in Tirana. And I'm like 75% from Albania, 25% from Kosovo because my grandma's from Kosovo. She's from Jakov.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
it's a little bit of here, a little bit of there.
Okay.
But I would say that like I'm from Tirana, like I've lived there my whole life and came up there with schooling, the education system. I believe I have to say like the education system that I went through in Albania was surprisingly harder than when I went through in the US. I know that I've heard multiple people say this even in the podcast here that the education system in Albania, once you go through the K through 12, is much more rigorous than here in the US. And I noticed that even on my first class that I took here, I was like, wow, like they're not teaching enough that they were supposed to teach, which is a good thing about Albania in general. How I like to see it in Albania is everything is very honest in a sense, right? You know exactly what's going on in a sense, even though sometimes they may try to put it in another way. It's very simple to understand Albanians and what they want to say. They have gestures and words that they say that you can understand exactly the message they want to construe. When I came here, and especially that first year, it was a little bit hard to kind of get into the comments of the citizens here in the US. They had messages that they said another way. They weren't as honest as I was used to my Albanian friends, so I had to kind of learn and act to who to trust in a sense.
Okay, so more biases here. Is that what you
Yes.
say?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Really? I thought that was the way in Albania too, though, with the
It depends. It depends,
Okay.
right? Because like
not
you
in
can
their
always say
education system, is that what you're saying?
correct,
Okay.
correct. I mean, in the education system, I do believe that they have a really good system here in Albania. The system is based off of the UK system. So it is a little bit, from what I've noticed, it is a little bit harder on when it comes to the science. So we had a lot more lessons when it comes to, say, mathematics, physics, biology, chemistry. I've noticed here that the level is not as good as I saw back in Albania in high school. I'm saying, right? I went to an IB high school back in back in Albania, but I have noticed here that they do take strides when it comes to the legal field. They have a lot more research and a lot more. I've had better discussions here than I've had back home when it comes to that.
I saw you recently. So are you accepted into law school?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
you start
Finally.
this fall.
Yes.
Congrats to that. That's a big
Thank you so much.
accomplishment. So
Yeah,
what
it was
inspired
huge.
you to pursue a career in law?
I think what inspired me to pursue a career in law is just the people that were around me. I never cared about politics or I never cared about law when I was growing up. Funny enough, I got into politics when the 2016 elections happened here in the US. There were so many rumblings about that. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to get into it a little bit more. I remember I spoke to a news reporter that my mom, I think, like, what was her client or something along those lines. And she was like, hey, you have like really good arguments about this. Like, why don't you pursue something in law, something in politics? And then obviously after that, I started to get a little bit into more of that. And I started to look at news outlets and look at politics in Albania a little bit differently because I didn't care as much before I was a kid. Then I started realizing that, okay, like the best way for, for the country to change, the best way for me to actually do something in my country is by becoming a lawyer.
Yeah.
There's not much that you can do to fight the law in a sense. That's why it's put into place so that everything that's around it is regulated to that. So I think that's what really started, which is a bit weird. Honestly, like you'd always hear the stories of, oh, something happens to me or this and this and happen. I think something will happen to anybody in any country. There's always going to be some um, illegal or in a sense something that's going to negative that in the sense of legal happen to a person. But what changes in a person is exactly the attention that they have behind that action, right?
Journey to the application process for you, because I know that that must have taken
It's
a
rough.
while.
It's rough. Just to keep it short in a sense, right? I had to take the LSAT 3 times.
Yeah.
When I first took the LSAT the first time, I was like, you know what? This is an exam. I can't study for it.
Yeah.
It's all based on logic. I'm gonna just go there, try it, whatever.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst, I take it a second time.
Yeah.
It ended horribly, of course.
First time's always the worst.
Yeah, but it was a good experience for me to understand exactly how much that exam mattered.
Yeah.
And I understood that that exam means a lot when it comes to even the application that we send through law school. I remember that even when I was speaking to my girlfriend, right, she told me a lot about you have to focus on every single direction that the application has to be sent through.
Yeah.
But I started realizing that the most important part is going to be that exam. And I've realized it in other departments as well, is because that's the best way for them to determine if you are going to be successful in what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right. It's an exam that it's in a timely crunch matter. You only have about 30 to 40 minutes for every single part.
Yeah.
And the questions are obviously very hard in a sense if you don't know what you're doing. The more practice that you get, the more discipline that you put into learning exactly what needs to be done, you actually start to like it because you understand the concept behind it.
Okay. So what do you think are some of the most pressing legal issues facing Albania today?
See, this is a very great question because there's multiple ways you can respond to it, right? One thing that I would have to say is that there's not anything such as a perfect country. Albania has its problems, but I think Albania is moving in the right direction. I've noticed that even the last summers or so, even though that they've had the protests, I think that the legal system is moving in the right direction. We're moving a little bit away from the bias and we're moving more towards the idea of we need more meritocracy in a sense, right? Not, hey, I know you can get to this place, but more of like, hey, what can you bring to this place, right? Are you actually able to find the solution to the problem that we have, and how efficient and effective are you going to be in finding that solution?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the most issues that we have in Albania, as I mentioned, right, is going to be the judicial reform. But I do believe that they're working rigorously to overhaul the judicial system to enhance more transparency to the public, because I feel like that's, even when I was growing up, I feel like that's the one that was mistaken up the most.
Yeah.
We always heard in the news all the worst thing that would happen, but they would never tell us the full story. So I believe that if there's more transparency on exactly what's happening in the judicial system in Albania, I think that people's minds are going to change and actually understand that this is a system that needs time to update and needs time to change.
Yeah.
But I think that again, right, these issues are complicated and they're very multifaceted. Obviously, the big elephant in the room is going to be the corruption. Again, I do believe that we are moving in the trend of being more anti-corrupt to what we were before.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to get there, but it's going to take a lot of time. And the people that are going to make the change are going to be the ones that are going to be in our age, right? The ones that have moved through understanding of that money isn't important, and the facet of we'd rather save our own country and we're going to make the money indirectly because we're going to make the economy better rather than we're just going to pocket money for ourselves. But that's a total other discussion.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I think that's why I feel like it's so important to educate people. Because like even you talk about issues in Albania, even here in the US, we have CNN, the far leftist,
Yeah.
we have Fox News, we have just all these misinformation going around, even TikTok, even Instagram. And how do you decipher between what's real, what's not, what's someone's opinion?
You can.
Yeah.
You can, right? Because, and I've noticed, again, right, this is something that goes on in the entire world, not only in Albania, not only in the US, but this is something that's going to continue happening because, of course, it's based off of a business, right? They have a business that they have to, the goals that they have to reach, and the best way is by grabbing everybody's attention in their own way, right? Most people don't understand that that is the only reason why these news sources exist. But I do believe the news sources have their own benefits as well, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, even though the biases are wrong, it's a good call up to the people to understand exactly what's going on behind the scenes, rather than just assuming or going to, in a sense, like concepts in their head, right? We need some, in a sense, like strong, hard evidence in order to back our beliefs and actually try to make our country better.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, I do believe that in the event that the news outlet would be better by maybe um, making media and public more accessible when it comes to the judicial reform or when it comes to judicial decisions.
Hmm.
It's kind of like I like to compare it with sports, right? The reason why I like to compare it with sports is because, say, take the example of a basketball game or take the example of a football game compared to a soccer game. When it comes to the games of basketball or football, every decision that's made is heard by the officials and the whole audience hears it. When it comes to soccer, we don't understand exactly what the referee is saying because he only looks at the VAR. So
Yeah.
kind of looking into it together, if we have a system that we're very transparent in knowing exactly what happened in that case, then we have more belief in the judicial system. And we actually understand that, hey, we're not just trying to profit ourselves, we're actually trying to make this country better. Because the idea is that if you do want to make the country better and the country becomes better in education, better in economy, indirectly you will become rich as well.
So how would you say, what advice, I guess, would you give to students or individuals that are seeing these issues, and what actions should they take? Should we address these issues?
One thing that I remember from my undergrad when I did it in Michigan is
Mhm.
that I had a very good professor. His name was Kevin Deegan Cross.
Mhm.
Oh, he had one of the political science classes, and I mentioned it. I remember that he mentioned in the class that the biggest way to build the structure is by you becoming your own structure, right? There's already a structure in place in Albania. There's already a structure in place in the US. And the best way is by going step by step through the smaller steps, right?
Yeah.
First, the most important thing is education. The reason why people make decisions that are biased is because they don't have the proper education to understand both sides of the argument in the sense. So in order for us Albanians to maybe go back to Albania or maybe do something here in the US is to understand that there's two sides of the coin, understanding exactly what are the pros and cons on each other. And by understanding that, you can build your own structure where everything is based on a compromise. So in the sense of, okay, if I'm going to do this for you and you do this for me, are we going to benefit the country or are we not going to benefit the country? I think that's the first step that we have to take. And after that, of course, is that goes a little bit more into politics and aligning with the person that's going to have the
For
money,
sure. Yeah.
right? Because in a sense, you still need, again, I do believe that the way you run a country is going to be like a business.
Hmm.
Regardless of what you believe or what you don't believe, you have to understand that the economy is going to be the most important part, and you have to find the money to fuel all of the necessaries that are required. Right? It's one thing to say you want to do something; it's another thing that you want to actually do something for it. Motivation that the motivation that you're going to become a lawyer one day or the doctor one day is going to fade after
Hmm.
30 minutes or so because you're going to get you're going to end up looking at your phone doing something else. You're going to lose that drive that you have in that moment.
Hmm.
By having the discipline of doing the action that you don't want to do on a day that you don't feel the best. That's the best way you're going to learn and actually progress in any career because you need the discipline.
Yeah.
That's something that's going to make you the best in the legal field. You don't have to be the smartest in a sense. You don't have to be um, the smartest person in the room, but it's actually understanding what other people have done, seeing what their trial and error has become, so you don't make the same mistakes as them, and actually working, towards those mistakes to make them better.
Are you thinking to go back to Albania, change the system over there, stay here, open up a firm?
Yeah, that's something that I cannot give you the response to, right?
Okay.
Because in a sense, right, I would love to do either or
Yeah.
because I'm so young in my career, and again, I haven't gone through the experience of actually being in a law firm or actually being in
Hmm.
before a judge or anything along those lines, right? It's very easy for me to say, yeah, I'm gonna become successful one day, go back to Albania and fix it, right?
Yeah.
It's also very easy for me to say, hey, I'm gonna stay here, open my law firm one day, and help the people that are gonna be in South Florida or help Albanians in our country.
Hmm.
What I've realized is that I need to take the steps forward to finishing law school, actually understanding what's going to be most important for
Yeah.
me. Because, in a sense, right, do I want to go back to Albania and actually help my country? I would love to,
Yeah.
right? When I went back home this summer, I realized that there's a lot of great work that has been done that people don't see because they're so focused on the negativity.
Mhm.
But I still think that there's work to be done. And the best way to do it is from people that have left Albania. As sad as that seems to say,
Yeah.
the people that have left Albania and that have gone to different countries that went through that struggle actually learn and understand what's really important in life. And I think I understood that once I left Albania, because the mindset needs to change. And I think that we're going towards that way.
Mhm.
But in the event that people like me or people around my age are striving for the same ideas that I have, if they do start something to change Albania, or if I'm going to be the one to do it, I would love to do so. But
Mhm.
again, right, I wouldn't be able to say what's going to happen in 10 years because first I need to go through those experiences myself and understanding how the legal system is going to work here. So
Mhm.
that at that event, if I know exactly how the legal system is going to work here, I can go back home and obviously try to change everything. So, or change something to make it better.
Talked about the mindset of Albanians in Albania for a quick second. What do you mean when you say that? Or it's just more like closed-mindedness, or just like they
No,
don't have access to as many opportunities as we do here, or
it's multiple reasons, right?
okay.
The first reason that I would say is that they don't have access to those resources.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, if the universities were better and we have more researchers to actually help our students to become better, we're not going to have any doctors or any lawyers leave the country because we already have that system built in correctly.
Mhm.
One example that I always love to hear about is the example of the University of Pristina.
Mhm.
They did an amazing job becoming one of I think, the top three universities for law in the world. And
Yeah,
that
I
to me
saw
is
that.
it, it's insane because going so quickly through the developments for such a small country that just got their independence 15 years ago is something that I would love Albania to do as well, right? I give all the props to Kosovo because they got the right system behind it, they got the right mindset behind it, and they actually got it done. I'm not saying the Albanians don't have what it takes,
Mhm.
but they need to start somewhere small, which I think they have, and they're going to build up on it. But when I actually say the mentality of Albania, I mean the mentality of actually working for what you want.
Mhm.
I've had a lot of friends back home that they, want something to happen out of thin air, where in reality that doesn't happen.
No way.
And it changed when I came here, right?
Mhm.
If you're born in Tirana, honestly, if you're born in Albania, you live your life there, you notice that most of the stuff, right? Like it's easy to come by in a sense. Not for everybody, but what I'm saying is, most people tend to, stay in coffees and talk about random topics that are not going to do anything. But if you actually, sit down and think critically of where you want to get yourself to the next step to become better as a student of the game of whatever legal field or whatever field you're going to choose, and actually putting the discipline behind it, you can understand that all those little talks you have in coffees or all those little talks are not going to matter.
Yeah.
But that's what we need to change, right? uh, Albania has a lot of unemployed people, and that's the worst in the event, right? We want people to be employed. We want people that actually are going to do something for themselves and not expect somebody else to do it for them. When I went back home this summer,
Uh-huh.
I really saw like nobody was doing anything. Like a lot of
Oh,
like a
really?
lot of people in coffees like 7 in the morning. I'm like, dude, do something. But I've seen
Do
I've
you
seen a
think
lot
it's
of my
like they
friends
want
that,
that instant gratification? They just feel
yes,
comfortable. They're just like, this is the life. How would you
it's
motivate someone to?
have to come out of your shell,
Uh,
and you have to experience something completely different. You
okay.
have to you have to be in some place you're uncomfortable. That's why most of my friends left to, say, the Netherlands, to UK,
Mhm.
Italy, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
different nations, to actually learn how to become a student on their field, whatever it
Mhm.
may be. But that's the best way to learn, because you have to come out of your comfort zone, actually understand what goes in the world. So when you go back, you can teach your fellow friends like, hey, it's not going to work like that. If you're going to keep doing what you're doing, it's not going to end up well. So you have to do something else to change it. Actually dive in deep in what
Mhm.
you want to do
Mhm.
and be uncomfortable. You have to be uncomfortable in order to move to the next stage of becoming a better person, a better educator, a better leader. You have to be in uncomfortable zones.
Yeah, definitely agree with you on that. You all know what time it is. It's time for our fun fact of the day. It is estimated that the Albanian people saved over 2,000 Jewish lives during the Holocaust. Remarkably, Albania was one of the few European countries where the Jewish population actually increased during the 1940s, thanks to efforts of Albanian individuals and families who sheltered and protected Jews from persecution. Despite being a small, impoverished, and largely isolated country, Albania managed to offer refuge to a significant number of Jews during one of history's darkest periods. Through their efforts to hide and protect Jews, as well as using false documents and visas, many Jews were able to escape persecution and find safety in Albania. The actions of the Albanian people during this time are a testament to their strong sense of honor and their commitment to upholding their traditional code of hospitality known as Besa. The Code of Besa reminds us of the importance of standing up for what is right and our fundamental human obligation to protect and care for one another. And now, back to our guest speaker. You have started, do you have a company? Zhilla Health? Kinda?
Kind of.
I saw it on your LinkedIn and I was like, can you kind of tell us a little bit more about that?
So funny story behind this is when I moved to Florida for law school last summer, as everything was going through, I just wanted to find a regular job that I'm like, hey, I can make, say, a good amount of income that I can suffice my living expenses and maybe hold a little bit of money for anything else that I need. I came across this job in Indeed, and when I came here, I was shell shocked. The guy that I was speaking in front of me, he was like Jordan Belfort, and he was saying things along the lines of, hey, if you actually work hard, you can achieve making this amount of income in this amount of time. And that actually kind of started fire inside me because I understood that this is the first job that I've had where I'm self-employed in a sense. I make my own hours, I make my own time, and it's all based on that. What the company, I work for US Health, which is a company right under United Healthcare. So they deal with health insurance in the private sector. They sell, to keep it very simple, right? They sell the only full medical comprehensive coverage that is in the private sector in the country. So they have a nationwide PPO, which is typically the best for people that are, say, young people that are making a lot of money, or people that do not want to go through the ACA or have their situation in that way. But what I started realizing is that this job taught me a lot of perseverance, endurance, and a lot of discipline, because it took a lot of time for me to, say, get a sale, and it took a lot of time for me to understand the reason behind it, and it falls down to human psychology. So in this sense, right, I have my own business because I work under my own LLC, but I work under my leaders that guide me every day to becoming a better business. So in a sense, right, I am funded by the commission that they give me, but I am learning every day to become a better human and better understand people over the phone, which is much harder to do than by me seeing the ways that we describe each other by our own hands, right? I know Albanians have this, it's like they talk with their hands, they don't talk with their mouth. So it's a little bit harder when you don't see the person you're speaking in front of to, and now you're trying to convince them in buying something that's unique or special in a sense.
Okay.
But I think it's a great opportunity that I've landed on. It's an opportunity that I'm going to carry for, I hope, for the next following years, as not only do I want to become better, but I also want to link that into my law career in the eventual future, because I think there's work to be done in both departments.
Yeah, for sure. That's amazing. Yeah. So, how has your cultural background influenced your career choice, or just the way you think about just life in general?
I think the best way, or the best thing about my cultural background, is the honesty. Albanians are very, very honest people. They'll tell you exactly what they think in their head without any, left or right turn. They'll tell you straight up. So that's the beautiful thing about my culture, because I have found people in this business, or I found people in school that have that same mentality.
Yeah.
So because my culture has taught me to be very honest with people, it has allowed me to make true friends that are going to have my back in any situation, and it's made me realize that there is hope, right? There is hope that people don't want just the money and don't care about the thing, but they actually want to make their country better. I saw a lot of that in undergrad. I've seen a lot of it in grad school, where we have similar cultures and similar dreams that we want to reach. But that's the best thing about Albania that I'll have to say. not many countries have that honesty within them. They always find that gray area to respond to any question.
Yeah.
Albanians will tell you exactly what's going to happen,
How it is.
and eventually you're going to find someone that's going to be the same as you, and there you go. You made a long life friend.
Long my friend. Yeah. What support systems have been most helpful to you throughout your education?
I think my biggest support system that I've had has been my girlfriend. Honestly, I'm very thankful to her for a couple of different reasons.
Yeah.
When I first came from Albania, I had the same, as I mentioned before, right? The same mentality as my friends. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do anything. Eventually, something's gonna pop up, and I'm gonna become good at it.
Yeah.
But my girlfriend taught me the other way because she was born in Albania, but she was raised the right way here.
Mhm.
The lessons that her parents taught her, the lessons that she had to learn herself through persevering through all the hardships in the U.S.
Mhm.
made her understand that I need to do the best for myself and for my family.
Yeah.
So when I first started my undergrad in Michigan, I wasn't sure exactly what route to take because I had no idea how the U.S. system worked.
Yeah.
She was the one to actually show me on what routes I need to take to become better and how to get through those little steps quickly so you can
Mhm.
actually follow to the big step and actually want for you to want to do what you want to do, right? I don't know. I mean, when I first came to Albania, I heard about an undergrad. I was confused. I was like, why are we doing something that's not related to what we want to do?
Yeah.
But she helped
Unfortunately,
me.
that's the way it is here.
But she helped me understand and learn exactly what I need to do. And she has been by far the one of the biggest driving forces for me to become the person that I am today,
Oh,
because she gave me the same lessons that she learned herself
yeah.
to me, who I was, in Albania, I had a much better life to say,
Yeah.
right? I was in a country with my people, with my family, or my friends. It was easier to stay here, but in a country that nobody knows you, it's like there's barely any Albanians in Florida, in South Florida at least. It's a
Yeah.
little bit different.
Mhm. Okay. No, that's awesome. And shout out to Clea.
Shout out to Claire.
Outside of
Absolutely.
school and work and stuff, what do you like to do? Do you have any hobbies? Anything? How do you, I guess, maintain the work-life balance here?
There is no work-life balance. Uh, this is something that I learned a couple months ago. There is no work-life balance. The only
Mhm.
work-life balance that I see in my head is 10 years from now when I'm gonna have enough where I can relax. In a
Okay.
sense, like
I get want to
outside
retire
of work and
early.
yeah. I mean, outside of work and school, like the only thing that I would say that I love doing is sports. Like I follow every type of sport that you can think of: basketball, soccer, football, UFC, whatever, any sport you
Yeah.
can think of, I follow it very rigorously. So that's a way for me to get my mind off of whatever is going on in my day to day.
Yeah.
But my day to day is very busy in a sense because I am trying to grow my own clients and grow my own
Mhm.
in a sense, not membership, but grow my own book of business
Like
and my
networking.
business
Okay.
networking in a
Mhm.
sense, but not only networking, but book of business and
Mhm.
reaching as many clients as I can. And that requires me to work 7 days a week. Like I'm working Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to maybe 9 or 10 p.m.
Wow.
And then it becomes a little bit hard when you mix in school with that, say my master's program or the law school. But once you actually put everything in order and you time manage every little thing that you want to do, it becomes so easy because you're just if you're telling yourself you're gonna fail, you're gonna fail. There's no going behind it. If you tell yourself you're gonna succeed, you're gonna succeed.
Yeah.
So it's 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 something that you learn that you become better at with time. But
Mhm.
once you get used to that rigorous schedule of 7 days a week off, okay, I'm gonna work from this time to this time, do my assignments from this time to this time, relax from this time to this time, and you actually follow it and you do it for a long period of time, it becomes easy and it becomes like second nature.
Yeah. So no plan B for you.
No plan B. No, I'm very and I remember when I even spoke with my girlfriend, my parents back home were in the medical field. I never liked the medical field because it was something that I just didn't understand. I wasn't the best in sciences.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't bad, but I wasn't the best. But I wanted to find something that I'm going to be something that I enjoy and that I'm good at.
Mhm.
And I realized that this is the best way for me to succeed. And the best way for me to succeed is by helping other people every day.
Yeah.
By helping other people every day in this business, by helping other people every day in Albania, hopefully one day, and by helping other people every day in South Florida and in the U.S. in general. I feel like there's a lot of work to be done. I feel like that it's getting better from where it was before,
Mhm.
If we actually get the transparency that people are looking for, it could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Mhm.
But I believe it's going to become it's a pro instead of a con in a sense, because we need that transparency to actually move on as a nation, not only here but in Albania as well.
Mhm.
And that's why I chose this legal career. I'm tired of when I grew up, I hated injustice. You know,
Yeah.
even in like small games, like card games, like Mulan, or I don't know, like
Yeah.
people would hold like cards behind their back. Oh, look, I found him, or poker, whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
I always hated that injustice. Like, okay, just play the game by the rules. These are
Yeah.
the rules. If you lose, you lose. You win, you win. Whatever. It's for fun.
Absolutely.
That's when I started realizing that I just hate injustice. It doesn't matter if, it doesn't matter if who makes the money in my idea. It doesn't matter who's benefiting, who's not benefiting. If there's justice in place and the justice is followed and actually followed to the detail, then I'll be happy.
What would your main advice be to all of our viewers listening out there, whether they're student, professional, just like one piece of
I
advice?
believe in what you do and believe in yourself. In the end of the day, right? As much as you want to make your family, your friends, whoever want that's gonna be close to you proud,
Mhm.
you have to make yourself happy in a sense, not in a very egoistic side of ways, but actually wanting something for yourself and following on your promises.
Mhm.
And this is something that happens to everybody. It's something that happens to me, where I say I want to do something and I don't follow it because I get lazy, because something else happens. The one advice that I would give to people, and this is advice I have to take myself, is if you make a promise to somebody, if you make a promise to yourself, you have to follow it. No matter what happens, if it's a good day or a bad day, you have to go to the gym, you have to do the work needed, even on the days you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
By having the discipline and by actually falling on your promises, you start realizing there's so much hunger inside you, that there's so much more potential you can reach, but you're never going to reach that potential, or you're never going to want to become the person that you want to become without having the hard work. At least that's the way that I see it. It's not about the motivation, it's about the discipline behind it.
Yeah.
Doing the work that nobody's doing, the work behind
Willing
the
to
doors
do.
and nobody's looking at you, right? Actually, how bad do you want to become successful? How bad do you really want it? Do you say that you want to become successful, or do you actually want to become successful?
I agree.
But I give a lot of credit to this exact mindset to the job that I'm currently in, to this employment, and again, like to Clea, because these are things that I did not have before.
Yeah.
And the reason why I preach so much about it is because it's doable, right?
Mhm.
You can, anybody can change their mindset if they want to, if they're open-minded about it.
Yeah.
And once you actually start to follow through with the discipline, follow through on the promise that you made yourself, you're going to start to realize you feel so much better. And when that success hits, because it's not going to hit every day. Sometimes you're not, sometimes it's going to be good. Sometimes it's going to be bad. Not the first year you're going to succeed, not the second, maybe not even 2 months from now.
Yeah.
Once you actually start seeing those little steps become to the big idea that you had in your mind, you start realizing how important that moment was. From what I like to see it is, the worst moments in our lives are our best moments, because there's only the way up,
Yeah.
right?
The
You're gonna
ability.
fall down. You're gonna fall down to the lowest level, whether it is a personal relationship or a professional matter. But that's gonna be the best moment, because that's where you're gonna understand if you're actually built for it or you're not built for it.
Yeah.
How strong can you make your mind on an everyday basis that you can do it? That's the way I like to think of it.
Yeah. Takes a lot of discipline, a lot of courage, and a lot of want, but I feel like we can all do that. It's funny, I'm big on like these motivational, inspirational things and stuff, and I
Yeah,
saw this thing on Instagram the other day where it was like, shut off all your social medias and stop talking to your friends for at least
yeah,
3, 4, 5 months and focus on
yeah,
yourself, and you'll see so much improvement. If you're like unhappy with your life, you'll see so much improvement if you just like
yeah,
dedicate at least 3 to 6 months to yourself, to what you want to do, and stay committed. And that goes a long way, because some people it takes years to complete something.
yeah,
But imagine if you like focus on, if you have the means to do so, just focus on what you
yeah.
want to do and improving yourself or getting to that
And
goal. Um,
and again, it's what you're telling yourself, right? I
yeah.
mean, I deleted my Instagram like a week ago because I realized that I became so obsessed with it. It's like a
Oh, you
an instant.
deleted
You
your
open your phone.
Instagram. I can't tag you
Yeah,
now.
no worries. I'll get it back. I'll re-download it for that. But it's so insane because I would be working and then every 5 minutes I have my phone in my hands just
Yeah.
scrolling to the right. And
Yeah.
it becomes like such a bad instinct. It's like,
It
okay,
is.
I'm like losing my time here. Like if I'm gonna work, I want to work. I don't want to be looking up funny Instagram videos. So I was
Exactly.
like, you know what? I'm gonna delete it, see what happens. And then I noticed that those first week, I was literally just open my phone, scrolling to that page where I knew exactly where the Instagram icon was. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, like what's going on here?
Yeah.
But
It
it's good to test yourself
Mhm.
sometimes. I don't think you like or anybody speaking to their friends for 6 months is gonna change anything.
Yeah,
It's more of like, okay, how
I
can I
agree.
improve myself better? And like what are the right steps? What I've realized, and this is something that one of my leaders, Simon, said in a few days ago. I spoke to him like very open to
Yeah.
him, very, very hand to hand. And he told me that in our world, there's a lot of distractions.
Mhm.
Sports are a distraction. Instagram is a distraction. YouTube is a distraction. These are distractions made for us to not realize what our goal in life is. Distractions to keep us where we are. In order for us to become someone, you have to do the things that nobody else is doing. Not paying attention to social media, not paying attention to the negativity that goes around the world. But as you said, actually just focusing on what really matters and what you care about,
Mhm.
because eventually it's gonna start clicking,
Yeah.
and people are gonna come and ask, "Hey, how did you do it?" Instead of people making fun of you, because I've had friends make fun of me, like, "Why are you working 7 days a week? Like, you became a true American." And I'm like, I had to. They're like, "Oh my God, like who works that much?" I'm like, I have to because if I want to get to what I want to get, I have to do something that nobody else is doing, and
Yeah,
that's the only way.
I agree. It's a wonderful way to wrap this up. We actually have rapid fire round where I'm gonna ask you 10
Nice, let's
fun
do it.
questions. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Um, there's two actually. For me, it's Italy and Turkey.
Mhm.
Turkey because I have all my like childhood memories. Like every now and then, me and my parents and their friends would go to Turkey for like a week or two.
Mhm.
So my best memories were there. And Italy because it's a beautiful country. Like
Yeah.
I've traveled in Italy, but like driving, not flying there. We would go through Croatia and then go through Italy, go through Bari, and all the way from the south of Italy, go to the north. It's a beautiful country and it's a beautiful language, something that I definitely want to build more upon. But yeah, those are my top two.
What's your favorite color?
Red and black.
Biggest motivator in life?
Um, biggest motivator in life. Again, like there's so many different ways. I think my girlfriend's one of them
Uh-huh.
for sure. She's the biggest motivator, but myself and my family. I when I came to America, as every Albanian does, they go through that hardship.
Yeah.
So I believe that my biggest motivation is myself. I want to see myself succeed, not only for myself, but for the people around me.
What's your favorite burek?
My favorite burek with G's,
With
100%.
cheese.
Just G's. I remember when I was in middle school, there used to be a shop right outside of school, and I would
Uh-huh.
have like pesedlek, like pesedlek or
Yeah.
nigidlek,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
the old like coins.
Yeah.
And every day at like 11, just go outside, grab the brick, come back to school. That was the best thing ever. I'll never change that.
Aw. Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show by far, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Breaking
Those
Bad.
two.
I was
I love
expecting
Breaking Bad.
Suits.
I was gonna say it because I'm watching Switch right now, but I'm not gonna say it because it's such a basic answer.
Oh my God. So it is Suits.
No, no. Trust me. By far, like my favorite show is Breaking Bad because they do such an incredible job of character development.
Okay. And if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?
If I had the choice to live anywhere in the world,
Mhm.
honestly, it would either be Italy because I have so many like memories in Italy, or
Yeah.
Japan. I don't
What do you, okay, I don't know if you cook, but if you do cook, what do you like to cook?
what I like to cook.
Like your
Um,
best meal. What does Clea say you can really make really well in the kitchen?
the best meal that I make, it's like a Chipotle bowl. Like how if you
Oh.
go to Chipotle, they'll do like rice and chicken and all that stuff. I
Mhm.
found out that I can do it better myself. So like obviously like seasoned rice. Most times I do chicken or steak. Sometimes I'll have the Chipotle sauce. Sometimes I'll do barbecue and I
Mhm.
add bits of veggies there. I don't know why. That's the only thing I can cook, but I can do a really good job at it.
Okay. Favorite Albanian song?
I mean, Eagle was nice. I like when I grew up, like OTR was like the big one, right? So I
Uh-huh.
would always listen to Barrosi, Dil Coley, Noisy, whatever it be. But Eagle was like the best.
Favorite concert you've been to?
A few years back, me and my buddy, we went to a concert where there was a bunch of like artists. I think it was Kida, Ilvana Jata, so on and so forth. I think that was like maybe 2018 summertime. That was really fun.
Nice. And last one, coffee or tea?
Coffee all day.
I don't know why I love asking this question, but I
Yeah.
feel like it says a lot about
I survive on coffee. I wake up, literally wake up at 7 in the morning. The first thing I'm doing, I'm drinking coffee. I'm not opening eyes
drinking.
without drinking the coffee.
Really? How
I
many
have
cups a
to.
day do you have?
Like 1 in the morning, like two or three
Two or
cups a
three?
day. But it's really strong coffee because I have to wake up and actually start doing
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the pod. I loved hearing your story and good luck in
Absolutely.
law school and good and to make sure you all comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. But
It was a huge pleasure to speak with you. I think that you've done an incredible job in other podcasts as well because I've actually listened to them. Not tell you just, hey, I listened to him just to tell you, but I
yeah,
actually have listened to him. The last guy that you had on the podcast, I don't remember his name. Unfortunately,
Henry and Dreiza.
I think it was the one with the Bitcoin.
Henry and Dreiza. Yeah.
That was insane. Like to
Yeah.
see an Albanian go that far, it's
Yeah.
huge. To me, it's like
It is.
I cannot be any more happier because this is someone that lived in Albania,
Mhm.
came here, did something different. I don't know. It's something I like to be proud of. Like I hope there's so many more Albanians just like him and just like myself.
For
That's like we're making a name out there for ourselves and we're actually, putting a good face for us.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate all that. Shout out to
Thank
Henry if you're watching
you.
this.
Shout out to Henry.
All right. Bye. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And
You as well.
thank you.